Hello and welcome to the Adventures podcast. I'm your host, Dineo Mashiane, and I'm thrilled to take you on a journey through the dynamic world of communications and advertising. Each episode, I'll explore captivating topics, chat with industry experts, and uncover the secrets behind successful campaigns. The ACA's mission through this podcast is to inform, educate, and entertain you. So whether you're a lifelong learner or just curious, join me for an exciting adventure. Alrighty. Good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you are listening from. Welcome back to the Adventures podcast brought to you by the Association for Communications and Advertising. Of course, I am your host, Dineo Mashiane, and today I have a special guest joining me on episode 3. I would have to say he is quite a jack of all trades because he is he is an admitted attorney, a chartered management accountant, and corporate finance and triple BEE expert. Currently, he is serving as the Chief Commercial Officer at the Red and Yellow Creative School of Business. His name is Andrew Allison, if you haven't guessed it. But I'd just like to hand over to him as our guest today to give us a bit of a brief overview of who he is.
Good morning. Good morning and good afternoon, as you said, and to everyone. Thanks for the very kind intro. The jack of all trades, I think, is it's a two-sided coin, a double-edged sword. I think it does mean that I purposely look for new opportunities and challenges, which I do think gives me an advantage in being able to go in various directions and add value in all sorts of areas. But there's always that philosophy of sticking to a lane, picking something and being very, very good at it, and you start to lose that once you start to spread. So there's always this constant tension between should I be good at a lot of things or should I be really, really good at one thing? And increasingly, I think there seems to be a school of thought that is in support of breadth and being able to do many things. Not to say that I think in certain disciplines and domains, having really, really deep subject matter and domain expertise is valuable. So whether it was by design or not, I don't think it was by design. I've kind of stylized myself as a bit of a jack of all trades, and but no, thanks for the intro. Was great. I started out life as a lawyer in practice for about 7 or 8 years, then found my way into advertising. I was brought in by a friend who had founded a digital agency called Quirk in Cape Town, came in and joined for some reason or other as the chief financial officer in 2010. And that began my career in advertising, an industry I'd always looked at from the outside with some jealousy, working in law firms, very stiff, not particularly known for being creative, and quite old school. And my friends who are in advertising creative industries just seem to have a lot more fun and a lot more freedom. And so I might have come in through a creative door, but that was my entryway. And so whilst I've been in the industry for a long time, I still feel like a little bit of an outsider because I don't really sit on the creative execution and delivery side of things. But I love being part of it. So I found a niche for myself.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I hope a lot of people, I think when you get out of university, especially as a youngster, you kind of think that life is supposed to go one way, but you are showing us that, you know what, there are different paths that you can take on your journey. So thank you very much for that inspiration. And well, as I said, it's lovely to have you here. And if you don't know the flow of things here at the Adventures podcast, I like to start off with an icebreaker before we get into the questions, right? Just to loosen you up a bit and find out more about who you are and just to get to know you a bit more. So I don't know, I don't want to put you on the spot, but
well, you are
maybe
going to
I'll
put me
give
on
you
the spot.
I'll give you about 1 minute or 2 minutes or so to kind of come up with 2 truths and 1 lie that I'll have to guess which one fits and which one doesn't fit. Yeah.
No need to give me a minute. Heads up to the listeners or viewers. Dineo did give me a forewarning just a few minutes before we kicked off, so I've had a little bit of time to scramble my thoughts. All right, so I'm going to try and keep them personal. So the first, I'll just express them as three statements about myself. The first is that I love traveling, and it's very difficult to do it, but I always set myself out with the mission of trying to at least visit one country a year. And so far, I've been able to visit, I think, more than 50 and counting.
Whoa.
The more you travel, the more you realize there's places you want to go to and places you want to go back to. So that's the first one. The second one, my sports hobbies are the things I spend most of my time when I can get it are trail running and golf. And I am without rating myself too highly, I'm a pretty good golfer and a very good runner. So those are things that take up a lot of my time when I have it. And the third thing is I am a closeted, and I say closeted, science fiction and fantasy nerd, but since falling into the trap of believing it was uncool in high school, around about 17 or 18, I've suppressed it and for a long time pretended that I don't like it. But then when no one's looking, I get stuck into the books and shows.
Sure. Those are difficult. Those are so difficult. To kind of guess. Let me see how I'm gonna word this one. I think traveling is always something that people say they love doing. I don't know, I'm gonna shy away from that from you because I just feel like it's just an easy guess. So I'd say the traveling part is probably a lie. And then I would say that you're a pretty good trail runner and golfer, as well as the part about being into science fiction and fantasy books. Then I'd say that is a truth.
That's maybe a bit of a trick, but I had to try and make it a little bit obtuse. They're all true to some degree, but one includes some material falsehoods, and that is actually the sporting one. I do love trail running and golf, but I'm pretty bad at both of them.
Okay.
The amount of time I've put into them.
You tricked me.
Well, the 10,000 hour rule, I've definitely, when it comes to golf, I've definitely disproven that. I can also include playing the guitar in it. There's some things I think where, they say practice makes perfect, but I do believe there is a point at which after you've poured in exorbitant amount of hours, if you haven't seen real improvement in the talent, you can give up on doing it, on thinking you're really going to get really good at it. What I think at least I've been able to do is to still continue to enjoy them and taking the pressure of trying to be good and just kind of, doing them for the fun of doing them.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Great. All right, Andrew. So kicking off into our questions, I think my first one would have to be, I think maybe to just ease into it, is how is your role as the Chief Commercial Officer at the Red and Yellow School of Creative School of Business?
That's
See,
the
now
one.
my English is doing its thing again.
It's Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very interesting one. When people ask me what I do, saying Chief Commercial Officer at Red and Yellow Creative School of Business is a mouthful. Even saying Chief Creative Officer to most people, it doesn't really mean a lot. It means very different things at very different organizations. And I often fall in the trap of saying, I head up sales, or I head up admissions, which is a big part of what I do. But growth, I think, is in all of its various forms is probably the core role. And so whilst I am, my primary accountability is making sure that our enrollment numbers and revenue grow across all of our various offerings. That's our on-campus programs in Cape Town. That's our online short courses. And our online and distance qualifications, and then our corporate training, our B2B offering, and our skills development offering. So there's quite a broad remit. We've got 3 sales teams. We've got a very good and growing marketing team. So it's about not just growing there, but also raising our profile, making sure that we are plugged into industry, that our connections with agencies and employers and clients are as strong and as diverse as they can be, and that we have very, very healthy relationships with industry associations like the ACA. And increasingly, internationalization is a core part of what I need to drive, and part of our ambitions of being our ambition is to be the most creative business school in the world. And I think having a headquarters or a campus, a physical campus in Cape Town with a very unique proposition in a country that has the history and the legacy of in advertising, certainly, and in creativity that South Africa does, means that we're in a very fortunate and privileged geographical and skills-based location to be able to have a compelling proposition for the rest of the world, where where the West can meet Africa, where people can come and sit on the beach and study at a world-class institution and learn, draw the best from what Europe and the States and kind of the big market leaders are doing in marketing and advertising and creativity, but also to understand how that translates into Africa and the developing world, for want of a better term, but also to learn from the amazing things that are coming from the continent, and the creativity and innovation and ingenuity that I think we are so blessed with, a lot of which is born out of constraints. It's one thing, when you have limited budgets, but real innovation and creativity happens where you have none, and you've just got to, you've got to do the best that you can with very limited resources.
No, wow, great. I mean, you mentioned that you have healthy relationships with the agencies as well within South Africa, right? And speaking about that, I just would like to dive into how did the partnership with the ACA and the Red and Yellow School of my English is doing its thing again. Creative School of Business.
Maybe we've done ourselves a disservice. If our name isn't easy enough to say for people and from all languages, maybe we need to think about tricking it. You can always just say Red and Yellow. We just call it Red and Yellow.
Red and Yellow.
Or R&Y is I think what we're known for. So the school was founded 31 years ago this year in a corner of Ogilvy in Cape Town, and so by its very nature has always been very, very closely tied to the ACA, to the industry, and to many of the agencies who obviously members and for a major part of the ACA and what it does. So those ties have always been there, but I think particularly over the course of the last 5 years or so, 6 years.
Yeah.
This conversations started a lot longer ago, but it's been an evolution from both sides as we've looked for opportunities to work more closely together, whether it's on bursaries, which the ACA is a fantastic sponsor of, and culminating ultimately with the ACA grad program, which we launched last year for the first time, and so it's been a conversation, like many of these things, constant communication, mutual interest in growing the industry and ensuring that agencies have access to a pipeline of fantastic talent, particularly in the field of transformation, making sure that we've got a really, really strong flow of top quality Black South African talent who can come into the industry at a grassroots level and drive transformation from a junior level up. That's obviously transformation needs to be addressed at all levels. Yeah. But as a school, our primary, the biggest value that we can have and impact that we can have on transformation in the country is through education. And so I think the partnership there is particularly meaningful and strong. And I think when you've got two parties that we're not competitive, we've got joint interests and joint objectives. We both want to see the advertising media industry in South Africa thriving and growing.
Growing, yeah.
There's plenty of opportunities for collaboration, and hopefully we really just have started scratching the surface, and there's a lot more that we can do. So yeah, it's been a long conversation that has always been good, has always been constructive, and has really started to bear fruits in recent years. I think that the ultimate beneficiaries here are the youth and agencies, and that's fantastic.
No, that's great. I think something interesting that you pointed out is that the graduate program has been going on for a year, I think. You
We're
mentioned that,
in a
right?
second year now, so coming up for a
So
year and a
in
half.
its second year.
Yeah.
Okay, wow, wow, wow. No, that's incredible. So I think I'd also like to dive into how long is the program? How long does that graduate program that you offer last, you know?
Sure. It's a 12-month program,
Mhm.
and there's reasons for that. There's a few. Some of them are intentional, some of them are, well, I wouldn't say anything is a happy circumstance, but it's built around a CETA qualification. So it's an actual built a National Certificate in Advertising, which is an actual registered qualification that was designed
Wow.
for the advertising and media industry. And that program is a year qualification. Because it's a CETA qualification, it's work oriented, so it combines theoretical learning with work integrated or workplace learning, and at the end
Sure.
of which the graduates actually get an official qualification from Red and Yellow. And fortunately, you know, a year is often a period that businesses look at for graduate programs. Some have longer, some go 24 months, some go as far as 36 months. But for many, they look at that kind of internship or graduate year as being a 12-month period. You come in as a youngster, recently graduated from a range of different programs, and come into the industry. And so what we saw here was an opportunity, and I know this from being in industry, running an agency where we had an internship program that was fairly well structured, but I know that there are a lot of small agencies who bring in interns, but there isn't great structure. There are a lot of established agencies who run their own programs. But what there isn't, I don't think there's ever been, is a common kind of program that all agencies can participate in, big and small, so that when you finish, or when you're recruiting down the road, you can look and see, well, this person, they're still quite young, they've got 2 or 3 years under their belts. They did the ACA grad program. They might not have been at our agency, they might have been a small agency. But there are some things that I know. I know that they've been taught the same principles that our graduates have, that they can do X, Y, and Z, that they understand how the industry works, that they understand how agencies are structured and how work flows through an agency, that they have some basics in client service and project management. They understand basically how finances work within the agency context. We really kind of conceptualized it, and this conversation. This again is one of these conversations that started before this actually, before Red and Yellow got involved in helping craft this. This has been something that various people in it have been talking about for years. And we see it as being the foundations of something that I would personally like to see grow into in articles for advertising. You know, the accountants have the chartered accountancy designation, and they do 2 or 3 years worth of articles. Lawyers, and I know this from first-hand experience, do 2 years. And that is that kind of, you've studied, but you don't really know, you know all the theory, but you don't know what it means to actually put that in practice when you get into it. And what we're trying to do is to cross that bridge. And that's what Red and Yellow has, that's why we started, to get graduates more work ready. And that really is a huge part of our mission. And that's the kind of genesis of the program and what we're trying to achieve through it. It's just raising the bar and getting an industry standard program that is a badge of quality for anyone who's been through it, that they can do a range of things that are highly valued and at a fantastic level.
Definitely. No, that's some incredible work. I mean, I think coming out from university, you only really do only get that theoretical approach of what it looks like to work as a marketer, but applying it is always so different. It's two different things from the theory to the actual practice. So what Red and Yellow is doing is just like some really great work to give students and interns that practical feeling of actually working with all that theory that you kind of learned and applying it. So I think that's some incredible work. That's really incredible. And I think what I would want to ask, what does that curriculum look like in terms of the graduate program to get them work ready and et cetera, et cetera?
Sure. So I just need to brush up on I don't have the outline in front of me, but I know it. I've worked for it enough, so I can give you a walkthrough of the broad strokes. So we start with obviously with there's an orientation period, and in terms of the kind of, I think there's 4 or 5 modules that we work through. There's a work readiness module where we can do things like personal branding, obviously just what the basic expectations for coming into a professional environment are. So getting, addressing a lot of the, I mean, work readiness means a lot of things to many different people, but it is also probably the thing that we hear as a frustration from businesses across the board, is crossing that divide. So we cover, we do a lot there. Communication skills, time management, conflict management, how to show up professionally, the importance of your own brand and your own reputation, both internally and externally. So a lot of work there. We then have a macro view of the industry, how all of the various different parts fit together. What is the MAC industry as it's known in South Africa, marketing, advertising, communications. What is the role of creative? What's the role of a digital agency, PR, research, and media? That one of the big kind of divides. I mean, agencies formed out of the creative part came out of the media part, but yet, if you ask people at the creative side, they don't think about kind of media, and media tend to think in terms of through a media lens, and creatives think through a creative lens. And they've started to drift so far apart that you get these silos forming within the same groups that have all of these component pieces. So understanding the whole landscape and how they all work, I think, is crucial. Then we get into the micro, the kind of internal mechanics of a typical agency. Now, every agency is different. So, but there are some fundamentals that will mostly apply to most. So, how work moves through the process. Through the agency, what the various departments are, what your client service, strategy, planning, creative, copywriting, traffic, finance, and all of the kind of various bits and pieces that you'd find there. And then we start to get into each of the various disciplines. Now, the program is set up for to be discipline agnostic. So you can come in with a marketing background, and maybe you're kind of thinking about a client service or a strategy or kind of brand career journey, or you could have studied visual communications or copywriting, and you're coming in more on the creative side. The point being is everyone needs to know a little bit about something. So we will cover client service. We cover creative development. In there, we look at design and art direction. We look at copywriting. We cover digital. We cover branding and insights, PR and influencer, and reputation management. I'm probably going to miss something, and somebody's going to call me out for saying that we've missed something important. So basically, we introduce you to all of the kind of major component departments that you'd find and disciplines that you'd find in a typical agency, not so that you can become a specialist. That's for part of your career journey. We try and cover each of the various different disciplines, so that if you're an account executive, you understand what a copywriter does, you understand what a creative does, you understand what the digital side and if there's a development piece, what they do and what their roles are, and also what their requirements are. And so hopefully we're trying to create a little bit more empathy and understanding. We're not going to turn client service people into copywriters, but at least if they have a little bit more appreciation for how everyone fits together and what the various challenges and opportunities in each discipline are, we get stronger collaboration and more empathy and better teamwork. So that forms a big part of the piece as well. And then we get into project management. Everyone needs some foundations. Again, we're not turning people into project managers, just trying to introduce them to the fundamentals. And then we get into agency finance.
Yes.
And understanding how agencies make money, something that everyone needs to know a little bit about. I think that's an overview of all the modules without having the information in front of me. So we cover all of that over a period of 12 months, and obviously you're in the workplace doing the work that you would be doing in the agency in any event. But all of these things, there are assignments along the way. So the red and yellow model is always to teach the content and then ask you to actually implement what you are doing with work-oriented assignments and quizzes and things, so that we're actually asking you to implement the stuff that you're learning, ideally in the workplace, but even if it's just a case study or an example, because that's the act of actually sitting down, and people don't like doing an assignment late on a Sunday. But that really helps entrench the learning. So that's a crucial part of it. And then what we also do throughout the program, at least on a monthly basis, is intersperse it with full-day workshops with our facilitators, who will go into detail on the specific domains. They're designed to be a lot more engaging and in person. So you get to meet your classmates, which is also crucial here, is that this collaboration between grads at different agencies. So you might be at a small 10-person agency, but you'll be in the same class with somebody from Publicis or somebody from Dentsu, or so you'll get to mix, and so you'll build networks as well. You'll get to know your peers. You'll get to understand a little bit about other agencies. Also a very crucial part in building your own career. And then the final piece, which we love, and I think we get really good feedback on this, is making sure that we have monthly master classes with industry leaders, and we draw them from all across industry, from agencies, from the associations, from the Advertising Regulatory Board, speaking about various different parts. Now, these are supposed to be inspirational and eye-opening and thought-provoking. We've got really, really great speakers and experts and leaders who've been very generous with their time. But also just to, again, to kind of open our grads' eyes to what the possibilities are, what their careers could look like in 10, 15, 20 years' time, and to introduce them to even further aspects of what is a fantastic, very complicated, but very rewarding and fun. Yeah, I think fun is the important part. Hopefully we don't forget that. It's a very fun industry to be in.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's a very comprehensive explanation of what the curriculum really entails. I'd also just want to find out really, what are there any challenges that students face during this program, and what are the support resources or the resources of support that are readily available to alleviate any challenges experienced?
Sure. So look, anyone coming into any of these sorts of programs, it's a lot of work. You're new to the world of work, so you've got to adjust to that. You've got your agency bringing you into work, giving you jobs, pushing you to learn new things very, very quickly and adjust to an entirely new part of your life. And at the same time, you're doing a full qualification. Look, a lot of the time that is invested in that qualification is actually the workplace learning. So over the period of the program, the grads build out what's called a portfolio of evidence, which is effectively just a record of their hours and the tasks that they've done, and that forms part of the hours that need to happen. So that full year is actually, it's actually overlaps with the work that you need to do. So in doing the work, you're actually doing the program. Or the qualification. But that doesn't detract from the fact that it is a lot of work. So the challenges that people have are just that, there's a lot of the usual challenges that people have. There's, personal things that happen that are, unpredicted and unavoidable. And those, can derail things. If you get too busy at work, suddenly now you've got to manage deadlines and a lot of work, but you've also got your study commitments. So it's not a walk in the park. We haven't designed it to be a walk in the park. It's career in advertising is tough. life is tough, and so part of the
Yes.
we're trying to instill through all of this is grit and resilience, and so we don't make it purposefully easy. That being said, the support
Yeah.
structures on the red and yellow side, you've got a program manager who is there to assist and support. We have access to our guidance counselors and coaches, so those are all available to our grads. Our grads also have access to Red and Yellow Connect. And our employability team. So if they are not going to be employed by their agencies at the end of the program, if they're concerned about where they are going to be in future, we have a team that looks to match employers with our alumni. Obviously, anyone who finishes these programs becomes a Red and Yellow alumnus. So
Wow.
part of a very prestigious group. And so we have access to that offering. So that service is the service that we provide. And we're also very understanding. And we've been doing distance education and this sort of stuff for 16, 17 years, in addition to the full-time stuff,
Sure.
which for even longer. We know that that circumstances happen and that things go wrong. And so we are accommodating, and we'll make, if you really can't get something in on time, it's not the end of the world. If you're a repeat offender and you don't have a really good reason, then we'll be a bit stricter, but we understand and we're compassionate. On the agency side, and we work with the agencies to help try and get this all sorted out. But the importance of having strong mentors and managers who are aware of the commitments and make time and space for the grads to actually do their work and to fulfill the requirements of the program. So we ask them not to overload or make the workload so unbalanced or unpredictable that it's difficult to study. And also we work with them to ensure that in the workplace, the grads are properly mentored and managed, and they're given the opportunities they need to practice what they're learning. So it really is a partnership. It's a three-way partnership between the grad, between the agency, between us, and we're all, where it really works well is where we're all perfectly in sync. We're very responsive to the demands and needs and issues that the grads experience over the course of the program, and also challenges that agencies happen. They're people as well. And forget that agencies are just groups of people who also have challenges, and running a business is difficult. So we try and be as understanding as possible, and just, I think the importance of over communication all the time can never be understated.
Yes, definitely. No, that sounds like quite a supportive structure that you guys have right there at Red and Yellow, and it sounds like a winning formula, if I may say so myself.
I'm glad to hear it. You can say that. I'd like to think it's that way, but it's always nice to hear other people say it. So
definitely. And I think this brings us to our actual last question, just to find out who is eligible to join the program and how can one become part of it? Do you strictly have to be part of an agency? Somebody listening might be thinking, wow, this is such an incredible opportunity, but do I need to be part of an agency to become part of the program? Or, what are the alternatives as well that can...
Sure. So we started out by kind of pitching it, running it in partnership with the ACA, and really positioning it as an offering for businesses, for agencies. So we go to, we don't make it publicly available as a consumer facing a program for students to join. We have these conversations directly with agencies and say, look, we're running this program. Would you like to put some of your grads on it? So that's really how we've approached it to date. And so that in terms of eligibility, look, anyone is able to take advantage of this. The easiest route of access is obviously through an agency that's participating. And obviously, if you are working in an industry or a sector outside of the MAC sector, there's a lot of stuff in here that might not be 100% relevant. But that being said, if you work in the marketing department at a brand, I think that you'll learn a lot of good stuff in this program. So whilst it might be for it's very specifically stylized as an ACA graduate program for marketing, advertising, communications, it's designed for people working at the agencies. I think there'd be a lot of value for people from brands and marketing and from the marketer side coming into this as well. But that doesn't mean that it's not open to anyone to join. The only thing that we would ask anyone who is interested in joining themselves is that you would still need, because there's a partnership between an agency or an employer, us and our grad, is that you would need to have somebody or a business that's willing to employ you for the 12-month program so that you can get that workplace learning. If you're already employed somewhere, and your boss or your business, your company is willing to fulfill that function, that's fantastic. So, so, for anyone who's employed, it would be a simple conversation to say, I'm interested in doing this program. I've spoken to my HR department or my boss, and they think it's great, and they're happy to be the employer in that sense. Then that's fantastic. If you don't yet have a job, we could certainly look at helping find that, but that isn't something that we're overtly going to market with or publicizing. It's not a service that we currently offer as part of this program. But if you are currently unemployed and you happen to find an agency or a small business that's willing to provide that for you for a 12-month period, then we're only too happy to take you on. So that is, it is, anyone is eligible. There are just a few kind of things that we require. The minimum eligibility requirement is a matric certificate. Other than that, I think that's that's it. So
no, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I did say that was going to be my last question, but I think I might have told a small little white lie.
That's okay.
So you spoke about the program being 12 months, right? I think it would be very interesting to find out, when does it open, or when do applications open? I think people would also be very interested to find out when they can start applying, or that process of applying, etc.
Sure. So we actually haven't finalized, and that's a good point. We haven't finalized the start date for the 2026 intake, but I can tell you roughly when it is, because it's will be roughly about the same time as this year and the same time as last year, which I think is the second week of February. We will get that updated on our website, and we will get that communicated through the ACA. But the program runs February to November, December every year. So it's, we get the 12 months in it. It's typically the kind of finalization pieces will roll over into the following January or so in terms of closeout. But a lot of agencies have January to December financial years, and a lot of graduate programs run from January. In fact, most run from January to December, because it follows immediately after when most students finish their qualification. So you finish your final year of university or wherever you studied, or matric if you're coming in, and then that kind of the employment starts to happen there. So we've tried to align it as closely as possible with when most companies will start their grad programs in any event. So in terms of applying, there isn't really a start or a final date. Get your, as I said, we're not currently open for, not to say we are not publicly open for applications directly from potential students or graduates. But as I said, if you have an employer already, or you've got somebody who can provide that part of the equation, just reach out to us, and we're only too happy to pick things up, and we will communicate that date with all of our agencies and to the ACA as soon as possible. But I think for now you can rely on the fact that it will probably start again on the second or third Monday in February 2026.
Lovely. No, thank you so much, Andrew, for that insightful conversation. I think maybe also if you could give us a bit of where we can find Red and Yellow online. Is it a website? Is it social media? Yeah.
We are, and our marketing team will give me a hard time for not remembering everyone. We are at redandyellow.co.za. So you can find us on the website. If you want to get hold of us, our contact number is on the website, or it's, you'll find it easily on Google. welcome@redandyellow.co.za is our main inbox, so you can hit us up there. You can follow us. We've got a very active LinkedIn page. If you just search Red and Yellow Creative School of Business, you will find us. And we're active on Facebook, on Instagram, and on TikTok. I think that's it. I'm not sure how busy or active we are on Snap or any of the other channels, but I think that's us as far as our primary channels are concerned. But yeah, we're fairly active, and we encourage everyone to follow us, sign up for our newsletter, again available at our from our website. We've got a very active and value packed newsletter. And feel free to reach out for us for any, if you're interested in any training or related challenges for your business, whether you're looking for your business, or if you're a potential student, whether you're 18 or whether you're 80. We have students across the spectrum. Not too many 80-year-olds, but there have been some, and they're always fantastic. We believe in lifelong learning, and we, it's probably a nice parting quote. If you walk in through our reception, that you'll see hung behind the reception is a big red poster with just bold yellow wording lettering that just says "Be a sponge," which is what we encourage our students to be. Soak up constantly everything that you can learn.
Continuous learning. Yes.
That's it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Andrew. This was a wonderful conversation. I really had a great time learning more about Red and Yellow and just how insightful everything that you provided us about the program is, right? So I'd just like to thank you for taking the time to come and chat with us here at the Adventures podcast.
Thanks so much, Dineo.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Adventures podcast. I hope you enjoyed our journey through the world of communications and advertising. If you found this episode informative and entertaining, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners just like you. Don't forget to follow us on social media at ACA South Africa and visit our website www.acasa.co.za for updates and behind-the-scenes content. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the fascinating world of communications and advertising.